Hello everyone. Well, the sun must be rising in some part of the world. So take a fresh, cold shower and let's start with another episode of Fly Spirited Away. So today's topic is going to be very interesting. You will really like it. I mean, it should definitely connect to me, but it should connect with many other people. Especially the new generation. So basically, the topic is faith versus boundaryless. And the background behind is that we, the people, bit of an old generation, but we have been raised with faith, right? Some kind of faith. And the new generation, the new youngsters, have a different mindset altogether, right? They challenge it, and there's nothing wrong with challenging it, and they should be doing so because that is called progress, right? But I really want to break it down, the differences between people of faith and those who break away from it, and how they perceive it, and how the society is going to come out. So that was the topic, and I'll discuss it in more detail. But like any other episode, this deserves its own intro song. So I really chose a song which I really think suits this topic. And this is called Hum Dekhenge. It's by Faiz Ahmad Faiz. It's a famous writer. He was from Pakistan, but he's one amazing writer. So that's his words, and I'm going to sing, which makes perfect sense for this topic. हम देखेंगे लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे वो दिन जिसका वादा है जो लोहे अजल में लिखा है हम देखेंगे जब जुल्मों से सितम के कोहे गिरा रूई की तरह उड़ जाएंगे. When all the oppression and the cruelty fly like a cotton ball, we'll be freed from all the oppression and cruelty. जब जुल्मों से सितम के कोहे गिरा रूई की तरह उड़ जाएंगे हम महकूमों के पांव तले जब धरती थर थर धड़केगी और अहले हुक्म के सरू पर जब बिजली कर करकेगी हम देखेंगे. मैं तो देखूंगा, आप भी देखना. So it's a kind of a spiritual war, and we got to see what really happens. But I really want to break it down and see how things should come out in the future. So I just want to make the clear distinction, right? So let's talk about the people of faith, right? Well, there are many faiths in the world. We have Hinduism, we have Muslim, we have Christians, we have Judaism, we have Buddhism, we have Jainism. I mean, there are so many faiths in this world. And to my happiness, I'm really glad to see so many. I mean, to me, still less, but I really to see such a different variety of it. I mean, I cannot appreciate it more. So when I see a variety in other things, like how the Hindu really goes to the temple, and I really see how the Muslim, the Brotherhood really goes to the mosque, it's a different setting altogether. How our Jainism, we go in another temple, but it's in a very different setting altogether, very peaceful environment. The Buddhism, focusing on inner side of it, building consciousness. Every religion bring its own have their own ways. And when I see each variety of me, I feel so good about it that I get to see the other side of it. And that really makes me respect them, that hey, these are all people. I truly enjoy watching those, whatever ways they move their thing, the way they move their faith. There are bits of differences, bits of peace, but the pieces are clear. They're all people of faith. That's the common thing between all of us. We are all people of faith. And being people of faith, I really have the respect from one faith to another faith. When I see that, are you a person of faith? I have my respect as mutual respect, because I respect it. Anyone should. Faith is faith, right? But there's a new section of people that's coming in the new generation of it, right? And they really think why we need to follow those rules. They question it, and rightfully so. They should be questioning it, right? So that is about the faith. So, but before I go, I really want to go in two separate sections. So first, I want to discuss all the points of what is the faith brings on the table, right? If you are people of faith, if you believe in something, of any religion, does not matter on it, right? What does that brings you on the table, right? Well, the first thing it really brings people of faith is a sense of identity, like who you are. You belong to some particular group. Human being by nature, the way we have evolved, that we really want to associate or assimilate with some group. If I ask a human being or someone to stay by themselves and be their own person, most people really cannot do that thing. Leave aside few of them. They really want to associate with something else. Oh, I'm part of this group, or I feel better about it. It is just how the evolution has come play. The people feel safety in the group. So they are naturally inclined. They're naturally inclined to really form a group, and that gives a sense of identity, of safety. But that is our brain work. That's how we have come across, and this is how we go. And there's nothing wrong, which is really good. So it gives a sense of safety and identity, and all point I piece that hey, look, I belong to this group. I have some kind of safety net with me. If something happens, I have my group protection, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So what is the other thing that really brings on the faith really brings me on the table, right? The faith really brings certain rules, right? So one of the important rules is basically for the marriage and all that thing. So when we go to the marriage, we always go to some kind of mosque, temple, churches, or some place else of worship, and we basically really get blessed by the authority or the person, and basically start a new life. You see, religion has their own purpose, you see. So the marriage becomes an important piece of it, and it's an important piece. So what that really does, basically, when the marriage comes, it's an important event, because you see, it is promoting marriages, because you see, it says sustainability thing. It's like it's going to continue, right? It's going to grow one generation to the next generation, and we basically keep on moving. The religion has a much more bigger purpose in mind, right? And so they promote it. Hey, come here, marriage is great, that's good, and religion will carry you on because you are doing a great job with this thing, and the new generation will come and he will come and worship our religion the same way you are doing it, and there is a continuity piece to that. So the religion really helps with that agenda in mind. That is one of the purposes of it, right? But there is a price to be paid, right? There is a price to be paid when they promote it. About 20 years back and all that thing, the homosexuality, people are not even talking about it. Forget about even marriages and all that thing. It's just completely unthinkable, right? The LGBTQ community, people really talk about it. The word didn't exist around that thing. I mean, they were living on the sideline of it. And still today, they live on the sideline. Apparently, their feelings were oppressed. They were marginalized in some ways. And they felt it. And they should be rightfully feeling it, because all human beings have feelings in them. They are everyone is from the same God, right? We came from the same source in this thing. So there is no room for that thing. But what happens is that the whole process, I understand that the religion is promoting one piece of it, but that does not mean that other person should be marginalized, but the society did it. Society, and still doing it. That is a true fact that still in some ways the society is still relating, but the religion wants to go in certain ways, right? So that was one of these things, right? The second thing was the religion. I really think, I can see with some certainty that in most of the religion, and perhaps you should agree, that they promote, most of the men really took the lead role in that thing. Women were always on the backside. At least all these years, things are changing a bit now with the new dynamics, but mostly, even still today, the men take a prominent part and the female does not get the main part around that thing, because they really want to control. So the point is that, is the females being sidelined? Yes. Were they marginalized? Yes. Are they part of the religion? Yes. So why are they being marginalized? Because in some ways, men really have the power and the control, and they make subtle rules in religions in a way which favors men, and the women kind of becomes, hey, they will have bringing the new generations and things. So that's what they promoting the new generations and all that thing. They use kind of objectified in some ways like that, in very minor and subtle ways around that thing. But the point is that, yes, does the man take the lead role? Yes. Is the females' values were suppressed? I think so. They were suppressed. They felt it. Right? But that is how the situation is. I think in most of the religion is. So that was the two of the things it really brings into the picture right now. What is religion bring us? Another thing religion bring is basically values. It does bring values. Every religion brings some values. The sense of community, taking care of the elders, helping other people. They bring a lot of sense of values, which is very valuable, and it only helps the sustainability of the religion. You see, religion wouldn't have survived if these things wouldn't have been added to that. If the certain religion thrive more than the others because that religion is offering people something more, and that's the reason they are thriving it. You see, it's years. So if years of history, if they survived here, there's a good reason to survive. So the value system that is passed by, that really helps it basically promote that religion, which really helped, right? Definitely there are some food habits. Every religion, everything really think, hey, how you should eat, what kind of food you should eat it. And there's some rules and regulations based upon that thing, which does make sense, because there are certain things by over history, what we have seen it, and they have realized it, and they're saying there's certain things you should do, certain things you shouldn't eat it, which does make sense on that thing, right? They come up with certain rituals, right? Certain dogmas. Sometimes I will not agree with false ritual. Like some of the rituals and some of the dogmas does not make sense. Like they really go for animal sacrifices and all that thing, which I do not personally like it. But the point is that they created with their own dogmas and things. I'll make another video on him on the sacrifices for animals. So you hopefully will discuss more about it. But that is another rituals and dogmas definitely they have come with, or they have built over a period of time. It keeps on accumulating piece by piece, layer by layer, and just keep on accumulating it and slowly changing direction. That is another thing that religion brings in the picture, right? But one important thing they really bring on the table, which really gives human a peace, internal peace, that we really think we're really good. We have come a technological long way in our medical science, and everything has come a long way. We're really good in saving lives and all that thing. But you see, no matter what, we are a human being. We are very weak people. Internally, we are very weak people. When the tsunami hits, when the water really comes, when the houses start floating in the water, you become a needle in a haystack. You can do nothing. Nature is very powerful. When the earthquake comes, there's nothing you can do about it. when the pandemic came. Here is the pandemic, right? What can I do? It is here. So eventually a point comes in everyone's life at some stage in time, so that I'm helpless, I cannot do anything more, I'm done. Then I really have to look forward somewhere else. That please God, my faith, any faith in any stone, anything, my faith, what I believe, please save me, please save the community, please save Mother Earth, please do something about it. Because without you, I can do nothing. That gives me a lot of consolation. That makes you a lot of peace. My weight, I can pass it to my God, my faith, whatever I believe in. We are all people of faith. So that really helps. One of the biggest advantages I think our faith offers it, right? So that's what I told you about people of faith. Now I want to dive into the breakaway section, right? The breakaway questioned, and they question every single piece of it, right? It's a new generation, it's a new thought process, and they're really trying to make sense that what is not making sense and what has been oppressed by us. The women has been oppressed, right? The LGBTQ was oppressed, right? Or still oppressed. So they really think people's and the new blood, new thinking, they really think, let's think practically, pragmatically. They're all educated people, right? And they're trying to make more sense and think, what should we do? What makes sense? Let's do what really makes sense, what's practical, pragmatic. Let's think about it and let's make sense, right? That's what they're doing it. That is true with my kids. Hopefully your kid is no different from us. That's the new generation it is, right? So what is the new generation brings in the table? Well, so yes, they are educated, they're practical, and they're sensible. And you know that, right? Because they are doing well. So that is definitely, I already told you about it, right? The second thing, what is the faith? So when the young people and the young generation, they really come to going to high school and going to those places, the fresh blood, the fresh thinking, they're saying, what is this my faith buys me? They question it. What does my faith buys me? I cannot be my own person. If I'm in trouble, if my faith is not saving me, I have to do my job myself. So why not also spend any time on the faith? Just me, not myself. What myself? I'm my own man. So does that create a self-confidence and basically self-serving? Yes, I can help myself. Is there anything wrong? No, nothing wrong with that attitude. In many ways it's good. So you don't depend on the community. No. I am my own person. I have to help myself and I'll take care of myself. Which is good, right? So they're self-reliant, which is really good. Think about it, right? So then, in the faith-based, people had a community because they were on faith. But where is your community? I asked, where is your community? Well, where is their community? Well, technology is their community. Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. There's so many friends. They can question me, where's your friends? You don't meet, we really talk more often to those people, which makes sense to me because they are more connected. In this world, the technology have helped them to get more connected. They have their own community. They like what they don't like. They create their own group and they can change the group dynamics to what they're really liking it. Does that serve the purpose? Well, I think so. There's nothing wrong, right? That serves the purpose very well. So that is their online community around that thing. It's not faith-based community. It is just that people, what I like, what I not like, and basically based upon my interest, my hobbies, drives me everything, and that's what it is. So what about forbearance? No. So what actually is that their perspective is that whatever God gifted senses that we have it, the five senses that we have it, whatever gives us feels good, makes us feel good about ourselves, right? In physical sense, could be music, it could be eating food, sex, or what, in whichever form. If the God has gifted us with these kind of abilities and we are enjoying it and we are having a good time about it, so again, being on the practical side of it, let's enjoy it, right? The God, if we are on earth and we are here, so let's enjoy whatever we can, whatever makes us feel good, and let's really do that. There's nothing wrong. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. It is just that it is just the fact that religion or faith in some was controlling it, and with this new generation, basically, if you put in some ways, I think that if all the candies are in the jar, they try to see if I can eat it, why not? If I can eat it, continue eating. You keep on getting marginal benefit, and then you will not have much. And so you got to go to the next level, and then people really may go to drugs, and people may really go to other kind of addiction, things like that. Hey, I really want more and more benefit, and eventually you will top off, like there's nothing more left for you, and then they go on the wrong direction of it, right? They really take direction for the worse, and then they try to come back, and that is how I really see the situation. But the faith was in some ways was controlling the rhythm, like how do you progress bit by bit. But here, no, you are self-controlled. You have to regulate itself. Make sure you do the best for yourself. And if you don't do it, then you might really go on the wrong. So there's no such guidelines. Guidelines is created by you. You decided what's good for you, and that's how you work. This is how it is, right? This is how the situation is. I'm just trying to practically put it on that. Food habits. No, the food habits again, like, hey, they think practical, right? So whatever the food they really think makes sense to eat it. Most people know what they are doing it, but in the new generation, they think out of the box, and they think, hey, we need to eat proteins and there's a lot of food shortage, and how we can solve those problems. So there are good side and bad side, right? The good side is that many people really think that, hey, let's try to make this world a better place. They have tried to become vegan, and they really try to stay in the green zone and others. But there's also on the other side, which I really see in it, that people pretty much eat anything. Like everything is on the menu. I cannot name, it's just whatever you want. Sure, it is there on the menu. Certain things are completely prohibited, like we don't eat those kind of stuff. In many places in China and many other places, you really find it. People eat what not. Name any kind of animals, perhaps it should be on the table for you to eat it. They call it a delicacy. Yeah, sure, and they can have it. So I really see it too, mixed. It's a mixed bag. Many people have really taken the good side, become a vegan, and they're trying to make the world a better place. But other people has taken on the extreme, and everything is a menu. Let's get it right. And what about marriage? Well, marriage, again, practical perspective, right? Practical, right? So if the boy's friend and girlfriend, they met together, they hang out together for some time, see how things works out, right? If things works out, that's great. In high school, at least, they don't have the sense of awareness, so they keep on having multiple boyfriends. So hey, we are together, and things didn't work out. They move to the next one until they mature, until they go to college. And that's when decided, hey, it's time to settle down. Maybe we should have a partnership. But the point is that they again think practical, and they're saying, hey, they try to make a live-in relationship. So if it is a faith-based, basically there's a fully drawn line. You move from one step to another, and you go to places of worship, you get married, and now you are in married life, right? But no, here there's no boundaries, right? You are completely moving from one to another, and you don't know when you did that thing, and you start in a living relationship, and you just living together, right? And why you need society's permission. No, you don't need anything. We are happy, and if I decide what's happiness for me, and I'm just gonna carry on the world the way I like it. Is there anything wrong about it? No. This is what he chose it to be, and this is how it is, and that is how this is how at least the new generation thinking is right now. So that's about the marriage. And what about kids? So they're saying again, there's a need. So basically, people really think we are part of the evolutions and we have the sense. So when we have kids, we really feel satisfied. We feel complete in many ways, and they do for that basis that hey, let's make us complete. But they only do one or two, which is nothing wrong, because they think that we can give the best value. But they do it for themselves to have kids. It's a very complete, it's a family feeling, it's a satisfying feeling. But the point is they have limited how many kids they have it. They just keep it one or two or around that. So they can provide the best quality time to them. And so that is the basic behind. Again, there's nothing wrong with that thing. Another big question is that I really keep on thinking it, if they really got hurt, right? If they really got hurt badly, if they really needed that when time comes when they are completely helpless, when their parents are really, God forbid, if they really become sick and now they can do nothing about it, or they themselves come in a scenario where it's a calamity is going on, pandemic or earthquake or tsunamis or any kind of things that really comes on our way, and now they think that there is nothing more I really can do. What can I do? Where do I go? Where do I go? I mean, they really think to help themselves, but then at some point in life you realize that we cannot help ourselves. So now they have to go ask help from some superpower, someone. So I've seen people, I just watching them and they're saying, oh my God, oh Jesus, oh mere Khuda, oh Parvardigar. They remember their God, they call the superpower, they call the universe. But all these years they never worked on it. Like they've never built any asset. So you have nothing to dispose, like they call it in the moment, but because they don't have a choice now. In the end, they come down to faith. They have to come down to faith because there is no choice. But they say it in a very, very unknowingly, indirect. The word will come. The word will come. Right? And then they really think that then the faith comes, but that's very unknowingly around that thing. So what they do, they still know that perhaps they have got to find their own solution. How do they fix it? Well, perhaps medicine, antidepressant, medicine, whatever really gives you to calm you down. So they use technology and all that thing. No, but the faith really doesn't quite help because you didn't build for it. Right? So I mean that is how the scenario is, right? So actually, but that is the new generation, right? But I was discussing, the viewpoint is that, you see, I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong. I'm just observing it, right? So we discussed what the faith-based people, that's how they live their life all these years, right? And this is how the breakaway generation, and that is the new life, they're trying to go their way. That this is the new rules, new set of rules, practical, pragmatic, self-centered. I got to take care of myself, and what works best for me, I'm going to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. But these are the two separate views, right? And there's two separate ways of living. So the question is that, so is there a right or a wrong? No, there's nothing called right or wrong here. There's nothing right or wrong. It's just understanding it, right? So, but I really want to I see one clear conclusion that perhaps I really can tell you, and perhaps you will agree with me, that in the faith-based, right, the individuality was compromised. The individuality of the person, their feelings was compromised in many ways. The boundary for each faith, there were boundaries were created, and everyone got to respect that boundary, and you got to live in that boundary to be part of that faith, right? And so this boundary, when the individuality was compromised much as, but it was the better good for the overall being of it, overall society, for overall faith-based, overall religion, it was really good. So for the macro perspective, it is really good. For faith, for the community thriving based, yes, the community did thrive. We are here today for good reason. If the faith has been continuing for multiple generations of it, for good reason, it helps us. The system really helped us to become where we are right now. Otherwise, it wouldn't have sustained it. It did a good job for the better good of the society. It did. But individuality was compromised? Yes, it was. So what happens with the breakaway section? Those people are living completely boundaryless. For those people who are living boundaryless, they break away the section. But the point is that, did they respect their individuality? Yes. Did they respect themselves? Yes. Were they self-centered? Yes. Will you take care of yourself? Yes. So all those things were there. Were they self-dependent? Yes. I depend on myself. I don't have to depend on anything else. Right? So that is how the new generation is, that they are good, right? They are good for what they are taking care of themselves. And again, there is nothing wrong about it. But what about the bigger aspect of it? How about, let's look down the few generations down the lane. Like, we are not talking, right now they're good, but about few generations down the lane? Are they thinking like, let's assume the 3-4 generations down the lane? Right? So because whatever their value system is, they're passing the same value system to their kids, and they're going to continue the same way, right? This is the new unspoken rule. They're passing it down the stream, right? So what is the 4th generation, 5th generation down the lane? What really happens? Well, this thing is not good. I personally think that that's really not going to thrive, because they think that everything is for me, it's myself, right? If I had kids, it's for me, right? If I wanted to, if I chose not to have any kids, that's completely fine. Why should I have it? It's for me. So yeah, this generation survived. And that's one of the reasons you really see that people are educated and people are good, and many people of the educated society, since there was so much individualistic way of thinking around here, in Japan, in Russia, and many other countries, many other developed countries, people really thought, oh, we don't want to have any more kids. There's no need to have any more kids. We will have 1 or 2. It just limited that. So there is not enough. There's not enough. It's a dwindling population scenario, right? That is only some part of the world. In other part of the world, it's a completely different story. In India and other places, all the developing countries, another scenario. But the irrespective of it, for those community, is the population dwindling? Yes. So in conclusion, the faith-based promoted was good for the bigger good of the society. Individuality was compromised. But in the breakaway section, those who are living without any boundaries, being practical and pragmatic and educated, the individuality was respected. But at some point, the bigger picture will be compromised. So that is how the scenario is. So the pendulum was on this section. It really came from the middle, swing on the other side. I believe at some point in time, in future generation, it has to swing back to the faith-based. I mean, there has to be sweet control where the faith is still there, plus the individuality of every person in the world is equally respected. Irrespective of the sexes, male, female, everyone should be brought in, everyone individuality should be respected. That middle piece, it has to come. It will come at some point in time, but that is how the nature works. It's not one state we live in. We are only constantly in states of motion. We went from one end to the other end and we'll swing back in the middle at some point in time. So anyway, that I really thought was it's a good conclusion. Now that's just my viewpoint, but I'm just bringing awareness of the scenario that makes people think that, hey, if that's right or wrong, and they can judge for themselves, right? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next video, and the next video is another topic, topic that some of the topic we really completely escape from. We really don't want to face it, right? And the next topic is going to be sacrifice, but I'll give you more detail in the next video. Until next time, guys, peace on earth, peace everywhere. I'll see you in the next video.